Hi, it's so great to be with you, and I'm super excited that Young Living have invited me for the second time to present goal mapping. Since presenting at the European conference last year, 17 people from Young Living have become certified to teach a goal mapping system, and thousands of Young Living members have created goal maps to help them achieve their dreams. I've been teaching the goal mapping system now for 25 years around the world, helping businesses large and small with employees finding the work they love to do, helping more than 1 million students to create goal maps aiming for a brighter future and to increase their grades. Goal mapping helps sports people to win medals and become champions, even world champions. I have people from all walks of life using the system, and it's helping people in every area to be their best and achieve their greatest goals. I'm regularly presenting in countries around the world, more than 30 countries, and over the 25 years I've been teaching goal mapping, it's now reached more than 5 million people. Even world-leading coaches such as Anthony Robbins have endorsed the system, saying how truly amazing it is to help people for sustainable success. The key message in goal mapping is that your thought creates your reality. Teaching people how to think their best thoughts and to capture those best thoughts in the form of a goal map has become my life mission and passion. The starting place of understanding is to realise that we live in a rapidly changing world. The world today is changing faster than ever before in our recorded history, and every aspect and area of people's lives is changing at an incredible pace. I've been delivering this message for some time because the pace of change is getting faster and faster, and the reason for it is the rise of technology. It's estimated that mankind's entire knowledge has doubled in the last 50 years, and it will double again in the next 15 years. Every time something new is invented, it creates change. And it's the individuals, teams, and organizations that are flexible enough to move with the change that find the benefit. The key thing to remember with change is that change always creates opportunity. The only way we can have something new, something more, something different is if there is change. The challenge is that a great many people around the world are in fear of uncertain change. I'm stressing the word uncertain because if we feel sure the changes that are coming are going to be good for us, we greet them with open arms. But if we're concerned about the change, if we start to fear the change, then we become blind to the opportunity because the fear blinkers us and all we see is the object of our fear rather than the opportunities created. Sometimes the changes in life are small and sometimes they're huge, and all of us on a global basis of course have experienced massive change in the last months with the coronavirus and the storm that it's created in people's lives. But there is also opportunity to be gained. People will be looking for new ways to work, new income streams. And for an organisation such as Young Living, this can be a great period of opportunity, of growing business. Maybe you've experienced a lot of change in your life. Some years ago, my life changed fundamentally. I was in a world of fear about the changes that were coming and what it would mean for my life. And I was really fortunate to meet a man who said something very simple to me, but fundamentally true. That change is like the wind that blows. We can't control the force or the direction of the wind. What we can do, what is always within our power, is to choose the set of our sail. If you imagine that you're like a sailing boat, and today we're filming here at my home on the Isle of Wight, and just outside the window here, the sea, there is a round the island yacht race. And as the yachts come past where I live here, often the wind changes direction as they sail past this point of the island, and they need to adjust the set of the sail because the wind is blowing towards them and they need to tack and weave to keep making progress. Life is this way. As we make our journey through life, every so often the conditions change. unexpectedly, as they have in the last months for people around the world. And although we cannot control always the changes, the force of the change and the direction of change that comes into our life, we can choose our response towards it. The personal set of your cell is your outlook on life. It's your attitude towards the various changes that come and your physical responses. By choosing your outlook, by choosing your attitude, by choosing your response, you're able to capture the force of good created by the wind, the opportunity, and use that to power you on your journey. The more you understand the principles of success, it's like understanding the tides and the winds and the changes of life. You're able to adjust the personal set of your cell and to make great progress in life, regardless of the changes that come. What's really important with all the changes we need to make is we know where we want to go, that we have a clear goal to aim at. Goals are like beacons of light by which we steer our course. And having a really clear, compelling goal gives us that aiming point that regardless of the changes that come, we're able to keep a focus, hold a positive attitude, and make great. Here's the best way I've ever found of setting goals. This is a goal map. A goal map is always created using words and pictures. We need the combination of the two to help engage both the logical left brain and the creative right brain. Only by using the combination of words and pictures do we really set the goal in a powerful way. If you look at some of the older techniques on goal setting from the year 2000 back, even by the world's leading experts such as Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, they will all tell you the same thing in their books, and that is to rewrite the goal hundreds of times, day after day, for a month or more. And the reason why they recommend that endless repetition is because you need to rewrite the words many times for them to have a meaningful impact on your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is enormously powerful. It works like your own personal autopilot moving you towards the goal, but it doesn't really respond so much to words. It responds much more to imagery or pictures. And so if you look at the goal setting techniques from the year 2000 onwards, as people realized this and athletes started training and using visualization more to enhance their performance, then you start to see dream boards being recommended and vision boards and people using imagery to set their goals. I have a lot of people that come to me with dream boards and vision boards, and very often the limitation is they have no words. They just have nice pictures and there is no action plan. Within a goal map, we have a number of elements. We have the words for the conscious mind so we can be clear and precise about the goal. And we have the imagery to activate the subconscious mind so that we can command the subconscious to move us towards the achievement. There are 7 steps that make up the goal map. So we have a main goal, and then we have secondary side goals. And these can all be from different areas of our life or all from the same area. Then at the top of the map, we have our reasons why we want the goal, and then when and how and who. And so by creating the goal map in both words and pictures, we're able to engage both the left logical brain, the right creative brain, and by engaging the two, we get clear about the goal as well as commanding our subconscious to move us towards it. 7 simple steps. Step 1, what do you want to achieve? Step 2, what's the priority? There may be many things you want to achieve, but we want to be clear about that one goal that will most help us achieve the other things. Then step 3, start to map it out in both words and pictures. So we're engaging both the conscious and subconscious mind, creative and logical mind. And then step 4, why do you want it? What are your main motivating reasons for achieving the goal? And then step 5, when? If we don't give a date, it's not really a goal, it's a wish that we may get round to someday. By putting the date on it, we start to make it specific, measurable, quantifiable, and it also then gives us a timeline so that we can start to make a simple plan and identify the major actions we need to take to move towards the goal. Final step, step 7, who? Who's helped you desire or require in moving towards the achievement of your dreams? Think about these 7 simple steps. They are the critical elements of conscious achievement. If you are making a plan to achieve something that you've never done before, you need to think through, well, what do I want? What's the priority? What does it look like? Why do I want it? When? How am I going to do it? Who's going to help? The goal mapping process guides you through asking those questions, and it captures your answers in both words and pictures so that you form your map. Here's one of my maps. In fact, this is my main goal map with my big lifetime goal, which is to reach 7 million people. So far, over 25 years of teaching goal mapping, I've reached around 5 million people. In the goal map, I'm showing that I'm helping people with goal mapping in their corporate career, in their education, in their lifestyles, in their health and their well-being. How am I going to reach 7 million people? Well, I've written books, I have an online program, there's video, there's audio. I'm making presentations every week, either in person or online, filming like we are today from home. And the main thing for me is there are now 1,400 people certified to teach goal mapping around the world, and I'm really, really proud that 17 leaders from Young Living have chosen to step forward and become certified to teach the system to Young Living members. It's a million miles, really, from my start in life. I was born into a gypsy life. My parents are travelling fun fair people, and my ancestors on both sides of my family are the main circus people in the United Kingdom. There, here on the screen is a picture of my great-grandmother with her travelling wagon, and this painting is of a London street fair where she opened. On my father's side, here is my great-grandfather who opened his amusements also in London. And for generations, I can trace my ancestry back. Here, my grandfather and grandmother with my father, aunt and uncle. And then here, my father's fun fair. And this picture was taken the year that I was born. And my father could see that this way of life, the travelling fun fair way of life, was changing a great deal. It was getting more and more difficult. And he wanted something a little more stable, a little more permanent. And he took all of his travelling fun fair equipment and he took it to the seaside and he opened it for the tourist industry on the Isle of Wight down in the south of England. And he did very well from his tourist business, but he also missed the travelling life. If you're born into this world of operating with fun fair equipment, it's a very closed community. You're encouraged to marry back into the community, not to stray too far from it. My father missed it. And so the pattern that I grew up with is that I would have 3 different homes each year. I would have one home travelling around with the fun fairs for about 4 months each year. I had a second home on the Isle of Wight while we opened up for the tourist industry, again for about 4 months each year. I had a third home near our winter base, which was just outside of London by Heathrow Airport, where we park up the fun fair equipment for the cold weather months. 3 different homes each year, 3 different sets of friends, always 2, sometimes more different schools each year, and no school while we travelled. So I only went to school for about 5 months each year, and that was divided between 2 or more schools. My education was quite dire. I never ever sat any exams. I always missed them because of the travelling. I didn't learn to read and write properly because I have dyslexia. And at 13, I dropped out of education, which is quite normal for the fun fair children of my generation. Because if you're born into that fun fair life, you're expected to leave school early, work with the family, help build the family business. So at 13, I dropped out of education. I was given a stake in the family business. My 13th birthday present was a bubblegum machine. and a box of bubblegum and the keys. That was my initiation into the business. And at that point, I started working with my father full time. I was the oldest son, and so he wanted me to run the family business. And at age 18, I decided to run the family business in a new direction. And I became the youngest person ever in England at that time to be granted an entertainment and alcohol license and allowed to open up a disco. I was quite wild when I was young. The disco I opened was really quite unusual. I filled it full of fun, fair junk, but people really liked it. It was an unusual place to come, and people came from all over England, even from other countries, and the disco became really famous. We had lots of pop stars and celebrities and people coming to the club, and I became really successful with it, really young. I had a good life. I did that for 13 years, but at the end of the 13 years, a lot of change came to my life. The main change was that tourism changed. In the late 1980s, early 90s, airfare prices dropped and English people started taking their main summer vacation in the Mediterranean. They stopped coming to the Isle of Wight. They started going to places like Spain, Italy and Greece, and a lot of the tourist businesses on the island went out of business. And my father's family business was one of them. And so at age 29, I found myself in a really difficult situation, which is that I'd gone from being very wealthy in my 20s to at age 29 being £1 million in debt. My home was repossessed. Many of my possessions, such as my car, etc., were repossessed. The business closed down. I lost my income. I signed on to government income support for the first time in my life. I had no qualifications. I'd never had any proper work experience, no formal qualifications whatsoever or formal work experience. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. The whole family was quite wiped out by the experience. My brother's home was also repossessed, and my parents' home was about to be repossessed. I moved back into my old bedroom, not knowing what to do. The future looked bleak. I was incredibly scared. And I hid from the world for a while, trying to think how I could solve some of the problems. The turning point for me came when some friends offered me a job in direct sales and also introduced me to network marketing. And at first I was absolutely hopeless. I didn't sell anything and my network marketing didn't even get started. Nobody was interested to join me. But it turned into the greatest blessing in my life. I can now look back and see that that dark time was just before the dawn for me, a bright new period where my life took a fantastic new stage and journey. The turning point was being introduced to personal development and self-improvement. By joining the sales team and the network marketing company, I was invited to a personal development workshop. And at first I wasn't sure about going. I was very suspicious of positive thinking. I thought it was just somebody's opinion. But at the workshop, it really opened my mind. And it started with one simple statement, a quote by Henry Ford. If you think that you can, you can. And if you think that you can't, you can't. And either way, you prove yourself right. I'd heard this quote before, as most people have heard it before, but I thought it was just somebody's opinion. I didn't realise there was a science behind the saying. And it was when the science was explained to me and how I could use it in my life to improve things for myself that everything started to change for me. What I learned, and I now go around the world teaching, even in universities, is that we all have a great many brain cells. The estimate is you have 100 billion brain cells. And each one of your 100 billion brain cells or neurons, represented here on the screen with a little black dot, grows these branches which are called dendrites and a little wiggly tail which is called an axon. And all of the brain cells and the branches are separated by a small gap. It's known as the synaptic gap. Here's the key point. if the thought you choose to think is positive in its nature. Whether that's a positive thought about yourself, your life, your situation, building your young living business. If your thought is positive, the positive impulse starts in the middle of the brain cell, it travels out along the arms, and it triggers the release of a chemical from the end of the arm called serotonin. Serotonin is the chemical that gives you the feeling of happiness and well-being. It's the same chemical that's released into your brain if you take an antidepressant drug such as Prozac. When you learn the science of positive thinking and you train your brain by learning how to choose positive thoughts, you naturally release the serotonin. And as well as giving you a positive feeling, serotonin is also a neuroconductor. It joins the brain cells together. It allows your thought impulse to continue on its journey, and you build up this positive pattern of thought. It's this joining together of the brain cells in this way that gives us that aha moment, that light bulb experience where we find an answer to our problem, where we birth a new idea. At first, the brain cells break back apart again. And this is why it's so important to learn the science of goal setting. Because it's by setting a goal that we remind ourselves, we re-establish the brain cell connections. And by re-establishing the brain cell connections, that gradually helps us over a period of days of reminding ourselves of our goal to establish the connection. And as the connection becomes established, it forms a belief. The more connections we make, the more it helps us to activate the whole of our brain. We engage both the right creative mind so that we got a good vision of the future, that we have clear ideas for overcoming challenges and moving forwards and achieving our greatest dreams. Likewise, we engage with the words of our positive thinking and goal mapping, the left side of the brain, so that we can form a strategy, make a plan, and be effective in our actions. It's by using both sides of our brain in this way, the logical mind and the creative mind, that we help ourselves to be the most successful. It's particularly important in running a business such as Young Living, where we want to hold a good vision for our future, and we also want to follow an established plan of how we achieve success and move along to higher levels of achievement. If you look throughout history, you'll find the greatest minds have this brain balance. Leonardo da Vinci was a classic example, equally brilliant with paintings such as the Mona Lisa, right brain. Equally brilliant, he was the man that invented technical drawing, which is more left brain. And this same principle holds true for all, for you, for me, for everyone, that the more we exercise both sides of our brain, the more effective we are. Therefore, if you think you can, you start the neurological process of releasing the serotonin, forming the connections, helping you to activate your brain, and you follow through both with the motivation, the feel good, as well as the idea, and it helps you to achieve your best results. But if you think you can't, then you probably won't. Because when we think negatively about ourselves, about our life, about our situation, the negative thought again starts in the middle of the brain cell. It travels out along the arms and branches, but it releases a different chemical, a chemical called cortisol. Cortisol is the chemical that gives us the feeling of sadness and depression. It happens for a good reason. It's part of our fight or flight response. If you're in a situation that you consider to be dangerous, your brain starts to release cortisol, and the cortisol gives you the feeling of fear so that you raise your awareness and you take more care. The cortisol is also a chemical messenger. It tells your digestion system to switch off. It shuts down your lymph system, which cleans your body. It closes down your immune system, which keeps you healthy. And it switches off whole areas of your brain so that your brain becomes tunnel focused on the object of your fear, and all the energy that's saved is diverted to your muscles with adrenaline and endorphin so you can fight or flight and survive the danger. And it works really well. It's helped protect humankind for thousands and thousands of years. But the key thing to understand is that your body is only designed to be in that fight or flight fear response for the amount of time you can run really fast and climb in a tree. Thousands of years ago, if you're walking through the forest and a hungry bear jumped out, you would go into this natural fear response. You would trigger the release of the cortisol, it would shut down your secondary systems, divert the energy to your muscles, so you can run away really fast and escape the danger. In fact, it's by running really fast and climbing the tree that you burn off the cortisol, and through the exercise, you trigger the release of the serotonin, which helps to rebalance your brain and body chemistry. The challenge in modern life is the types of dangers we face are not the same as thousands of years ago. There's not often a wild animal that wants to eat us for lunch. We simply worry about our future and our situation. But your brain doesn't know the difference between a real danger and a worry. And when we start to worry about life's modern problems, do I have enough money to pay my bills? Is my work secure for the future? Are my family going to be okay? Is my relationship safe? Your brain responds in the same way as a real danger. It releases lots of cortisol. It shuts down your body's secondary systems. But of course, life's modern problems like not having enough money or being worried about our family aren't really something to run away from. And so people sit and they worry. And when you worry, you release a lot of cortisol, but you don't burn it off, and it sends your body into stress and starts to make you sick. This is where doctors made the link some years ago between prolonged stress and serious illness. You can be in stress a little while and it doesn't do you any harm, but if you're in stress day after day, it starts to take its toll. Because your digestion system is shut down. So even if you eat good quality food, you don't get the nutrient from it. Your lymph system isn't clean in your body. And so people that are in stress for a long period start to get toxic. They get problems with their skin, rashes and eczema, psoriasis. Your immune system isn't keeping you healthy. And this is why people in stress for a long period start to pick up colds and flus and then more serious illness. Doctors more and more are starting to recommend to people exercise as part of their treatment for conditions such as depression. Because when we exercise, we naturally burn off the cortisol and we trigger the release of serotonin. This is why athletes talk about the natural high they get when they work out. Understanding these things helps to engage in positive thinking, because the survival mechanism that has served us for so many thousands of years in modern life is actually counterproductive. When our brain closes down and focuses on the problem, that's a good thing when the problem is a hungry bear that wants to eat us for lunch. But when the problem is we don't have enough money to pay our bills, or we're worried about our future, then we actually need to do the opposite. We need to engage in positive thinking, because it's by thinking positively that we release the serotonin, and in turn, the serotonin helps us to form connections. When we're thinking negatively, the cortisol is a neuroinhibitor. It blocks the spread of thinking. Our thinking closes down. The problem in our mind looks bigger and bigger and bigger. By learning positive thinking strategies and learning how to hold that positive thought in the form of a goal, we empower ourselves to make more connections. And as we make more connections, we activate the whole of our brain, both our left logical brain as well as our right creative brain. And it's by engaging both halves of our brain in this way that we really help empower ourselves to be our best. Setting goals helps you to maintain that positive brain cell connection. The first meaningful goal that I set for myself was to learn to read well. I never went back to school. I didn't have any night class, no instruction, no tuition. I simply told myself every day, I can read, I can read, I can read. I imagined myself being able to do it. That helped trigger the release of serotonin, which made me feel motivated enough to pick up the books and make effort. But also the serotonin helped to form the brain cell connections that engaged more of my brain, compensated for my dyslexia, and gradually over a period of months, the words started to come into focus. I can't begin to tell you how good it was to learn to read at age 30. It was like a new skill, a new thing to play with. I wanted to read everything. Fortunately, my upline directed me to read more and more personal development, self-improvement, and I become fascinated in the science of success. It had never dawned on me before that science and success go together. I thought that being successful was random and chance. To learn that there are principles of success, and if you live by those principles, it helps you to become successful, was a new insight to me. I wanted to read and fast track as many of the personal development success principles as I possibly could. I felt really good about myself learning to read, but of course I was still in £1 million of debt. My parents' home was still about to be repossessed. They were 65 at the time, and I felt I had to do something to help turn the situation around. All the different personal development books I started reading seemed to be saying the same thing, that lasting success is not an accident, and if you learn the principles and apply them, they help you to be successful. In particular, I've become really interested in techniques for self-motivation, positive thinking, and particularly goal setting. All the different techniques I learned, I started to use in all the different areas of my life. And as I applied the different techniques and I lived them, so life took off. Home life, social life, work life. My work life was the easiest to measure. My performance rose from the lowest in the team to the highest. And lots of people around me wanted to know, well, how are you achieving that, Brian? And I found myself increasingly being invited to make presentations. Gradually, little by little, I was spending more time making presentations than I was going out and seeing customers and building my sales and networking business. And I made the switch at that point into training. I was very fortunate in being invited to work with some of the top trainers in the world, such as Anthony Robbins and Stephen Covey. The question that was often in my mind, though, is why are we not teaching this simple science of positive thinking and effective goal setting to our children as standard in school? There's often great teachers in school that will tell you set a goal and go for it. But that's not the same as being explained how to set the goal, how to do it. There's a right way and a wrong way. If we don't learn the right way of how to set goals, our chances of achieving the goal are dramatically reduced. And so I decided to focus my learning and reading onto the art of goal setting. I read all of the books on goal setting I could find around the world. I spoke to all the different experts. I thought about it endlessly day and night. And the more I thought about it, the more I started to realize that if we are going to set goals in an effective way that really helps to join the brain cells together, then we need to think in terms of words and pictures. Only by using this balanced combination, setting the words and the pictures down in the form of goals, do we really help ourselves to engage both sides of the brain. It's by using this combination of words and pictures that we help command our subconscious mind to move us towards the goal, as well as being clear with our conscious mind. The subconscious part of our mind is enormously powerful. The analogy we use for children is that the subconscious is like a magical genie. It can do the most amazing things. It can help your wishes come true, but it can't wish for you. With your conscious mind, you command the genie. It's like rubbing your magic lamp. Think about what you want. Get a clear picture in your mind of your targets, and that picture in your mind helps to command your subconscious to move you towards the goal. It's estimated that your subconscious is thousands of times more powerful than your conscious mind. The doctors are still baffled by how the subconscious does many of the things that it does. For instance, you really don't need an alarm clock. You can program your subconscious to wake you up at whatever time you want. This was something I started practicing years ago when I was a small boy. My uncle came to visit one day and he stayed overnight, and just before bed I saw him tapping his head, and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "It's my mental alarm clock." He said, "If you tap your head 7 times, you'll wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning." I was just a small boy. I tried it, it worked, and I was just absolutely amazed by it. I thought I'd learned some new Jedi mind trick. I used it for years and years and years, and I still use it now, but I don't tap my head anymore. Once I started to study how the subconscious works and how it responds to imagery, I realized that all I needed to do was to visualize in my mind the hands of a clock pointing at the time I wanted to wake up, and that my subconscious would wake me up within a few moments of that. What's more, I've learnt to imagine myself waking up with loads of energy and feeling really good. And of course, my subconscious has control over the chemical release of serotonin. And so I wake up as well in a good frame of mind. The subconscious has these amazing powers. The one thing that it cannot do, though, is make choices. It's almost mechanical in its operation. It responds to the dominant thought of your conscious mind. Whatever you think about most with the strongest feelings becomes the target for your subconscious to move you towards. And this is where some people sometimes go into some form of self-sabotage, because they start overly thinking about what they don't want. And of course, this is what happens when we worry. When we worry, we think a lot about what we don't want, the worst possible outcome. But our subconscious isn't able to evaluate it. It simply takes that thought of what we don't want, thinks it's the target, and starts to move us towards it. You can see this in young children. In toddlers, their conscious mind's not developed. Their subconscious is more to the surface. If you tell a young child not to touch, what do? They touch, because the subconscious can't work it out. When we are setting goals, it's really important we set the goal in the positive, that we're saying what we want. And likewise, that we make sure that our most often thoughts are of what we want. Because if we start to think about what we don't want, and we do that often with strong feelings, as we do when we worry, then our subconscious starts to move us towards the object of our fears. Some years ago in one of my workshops, I had a guy who was a motorcycle riding instructor. And I was talking about the power of the subconscious mind and how sometimes it takes us into self-sabotage because we're thinking about what we don't want rather than what we want. And he said, in England, the big danger for motorcyclists are all of the many holes in the road. And if you hit one of these big potholes with your car, it can do a lot of damage. But if you hit one of these big holes on a motorbike or on a push bike and you're thrown off the bike, it can be fatal. And 5 or 6 people have died in recent years with traffic accidents where they've been on a bicycle or a motorbike, they've hit one of these big holes and it's thrown them off their bike and they've been killed. And this guy in my workshop said, here's what we're teaching the motorcyclists, Brian. Be aware of the hole, but whatever you do, don't stare at the hole. Because if you stare at the hole, you will automatically go to the hole. You'll steer to the hole. Be aware of the hole. Stay focused on where you want to go. When he explained this, I realized this is a great life principle. We're all of us on a little journey through life. As we move along our path in life, there will be many holes, many things that we want to avoid, and we need to be aware of them in order to avoid them. But we must have the balance that we don't stare at them. We need to be aware of the hole, but stay focused on where we want to go, what we want to do, who we choose to be. How do you maintain that difficult balance? Do it on a daily basis. Do it in a simple way so it doesn't take up all of your time. Set goals. When you set a goal, you're simply taking a thought of what you want, and by putting it down on paper, especially in the way that goal mapping does it with words and pictures, it helps to engage the whole brain. And by looking at your map once a day, it reinforces the command on your subconscious to keep you moving towards the goal rather than going off track and into the things that you fear. What are some of the holes in the young living journey? Well, for many people, it's hearing that word no. They become overly concerned, and the more they focus that the person they're introducing to the business may say no, the more nervous and self-conscious they become. Having a goal map so that you hold that positive picture in your mind keeps you motivated and keeps you moving forward, regardless of the people that are interested or those that feel it's not for them. Quite often, people don't go all the way following the whole into complete self-sabotage. What most people are doing is they're picturing success and moving towards it, but then they're worrying about failure and they're stepping back. The majority of people are simply limiting the positive success that they make because they are holding pictures of failure in their mind and self-doubt, as well as pictures of success and self-belief. The more you work with a goal mapping system, so you've got a positive picture of your future and you're reinforcing it with positive words, the more powerfully you're commanding your subconscious to keep you moving towards the goals and the achievement of your dreams. By using goal mapping in words and pictures, it's activating both sides of the brain, helping you to have brain balance. That's releasing a balance of chemicals to give you an emotional balance and to create balance in your body. And by being balanced in yourself, you're bringing balance to your life. Life works best when we're in balance. And I would encourage you in your goal setting to set goals for all the important areas of your life. Set some home goals, set personal development goals, set health goals, well-being goals. Set goals obviously about your business, and perhaps together with your family, set family goals. By having clear goals, it really helps you to make the most of your abilities. Many years ago, when I started teaching goal setting to children, I created this simple model called the bicycle of ability. Imagine that whatever you do in life is like a bicycle you're riding, and the bicycle represents your ability to function well. The back wheel of the bicycle represents your knowledge and skills, technical knowledge and skills. We all need to learn technical knowledge and skills to be effective at whatever we choose to do. And of course, in Young Living, there is some knowledge to learn and some skills that we can develop that help us to really enhance our ability and to be effective. We also, of course, want to steer well with the front wheel. And for me, the front wheel represents communication skills, people skills, listening skills, influencing skills, getting along with people well, the social skills of life. So the bicycle represents the thing that we do, the back wheel is the technical knowledge, the front wheel is our ability to communicate with people well, but of course it is us that get up every day and pedal the bicycle. Some days we get up and we choose to pedal really hard at the thing that we're doing in life. We push at it. Other days we don't feel the same way and we look for an easy ride, a hill that we can coast down with minimum effort. What makes the difference between the days that we really crank it and the days that we coast? Well, it comes down to who we're being as a person. And in particular, 3 key qualities of character: drive or self-motivation, being able to hold a positive attitude and outlook on life, and to summon up confidence so that we can step forward and actually use our ability. These 3 qualities together are often referred to as mindset. And it's by developing our mindset that we really empower the application of our skill set and make the most of our people skills so we have a good influence on everyone around us. The days that we make the most progress in life are not really determined by the terrain that we cover. It's not about which way the wind is blowing or whether we're on a bumpy part of the path. It's much more about who we are choosing to be as a person when we're riding the bike, rather than just the thing that we are doing. By riding with a good heart, a sense of belief, being clear in our vision, we make the most of our skills, our knowledge, and we bring out the best in everybody around us. You'll know from your own experience, it's incredibly difficult to stay upright on the bicycle if we're not moving towards something. We need the momentum to give us equilibrium or balance. And so having a sense of direction, goal, and purpose really helps us to have that balance in life. If you take a look around yourself at the people that don't know where they're going or why, you find it takes only the smallest rock of difficulty in their day to unbalance them and send them crashing down in some way. Having a strong sense of goal and purpose and direction doesn't mean that we won't face difficult times. That's just part of life's journey. Every so often, a tough time comes. But if we've got a strong sense of purpose, if we're clear in our direction, if we know where we're going and why, it gives us the energy to pull through those difficult times, and we come out the other side the stronger. Perhaps one of the most important things about goal setting that so many people seem to miss is that the real value in having a goal is not always in the achievement of the physical goal. The real value is in who you become as a person in moving towards the goal. Whatever type of goal you set, whether it's a personal goal, whether it's a goal for your life generally, whether it's a work goal, maybe it's a contribution goal that you're going to raise money or you're going to help a charity make the world a better place. Whatever goal you set, if it's a true goal, it's going to be outside of your comfort zone. And to achieve that goal, you're going to need to stretch yourself a little. Step outside the comfort zone into the unknown, try some new things, do some new things, learn some new things. And in stretching yourself to achieve the goal, you grow greater levels of drive, attitude, and confidence. You become more as a person. That's the real value in goal setting, because as you grow as a person, that gives you even more power to use your technical knowledge and skills to even better effect and get along in an even better way with the people around you. It becomes a virtuous upward cycle. Let us look at how you create your own goal map. We're going to go through the 7 steps of goal mapping, and you can use the online system, which is free to use at goalmapping.com. We even now have a new page created specifically for Young Living, and you'll find the link which is being sent out. And you can also download and print out the paper templates and simple instruction. Whether you choose to do your goal map on paper or you choose to use the online program, the 7 simple steps remain the same. The first step is to dream. Take a few moments, find yourself a nice quiet space, sit down somewhere and have a little daydream about living your best life in the future. Your first map really wants to be that big picture of success. Then afterwards, I recommend you create additional maps where you map out areas of your life, such as a goal map for your Young Living business. And in my next presentation, which is being shown tomorrow, I'm going to guide everyone through creating a Young Living map specifically, rather than a map for their best life generally. Have a little daydream about you living your best life, and then make a list of all the key things. Let your mind flow freely. And just make short statements, no need for detail in this first step. We just want to capture the essence while you're in a nice, easy, dreamlike state. There may be many things you want to achieve. And so in the second step, we need to identify the priority. The first step, dream, is right brain. Right brain imagination looks forwards into our future. This second step, order, is left brain, because now we want to use logic to work out what is the main goal. Which one thing, once achieved, will most help you in achievement of some of the others? People often say to me in the workshops, Brian, I want all of the things, they're all important. And of course I won't argue with that. I know they're all important, that's why you've put them down as goals. But logically, there will always be one thing that strategically is the main goal, because by achieving that one goal, it helps you to achieve some of the others. Take a look at your list of goals, take the left brain goal mapping template or use the online program, choose what you believe is the main goal to go in the center of the template. And I want you to write it in a very specific way. Please write the goal as if you've already achieved it. Personal, positive, present tense. This helps to maximize the command on your subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't understand time. It doesn't understand abstract thoughts. So we want to be very literal with the command. Always have I in the goal, unless you're jointly setting the goal with another person, then it can be we. And you want to say the goal like you already have it. I own, I have, I am, etc. Because the subconscious doesn't understand time. Short statements, not too many words, otherwise the goal command is lost on the subconscious. Main goal in the center, then choose 4 more from the list and put those in the boxes at either side. And again, these can all be from different areas of your life, or they can all be from the same area. Then in step 3, draw. And if you're doing this on paper, get out some colored pens, or with the online system, you can upload personal photos or download images from the internet, plus there is a stocked library for you to use in the system. Create simple pictures using lots of color that represent your written words. Sometimes the people I am with in the workshops are concerned that their drawing's not a work of art. It doesn't need to be. Simple signs, little stick people work really well, but use lots of color because color is a right brain stimulant and helps to command the subconscious. Then in step 4, why? What are your main motivating reasons for achieving your goal? Write the words in the top boxes, and they want to capture your strongest feelings because we're motivated by emotion and not by logic. Once you've written the words, again, draw the simple corresponding imagery so you're activating both the right and the left brain. Step 5, when? If we don't give a date, it's not really a goal, it's a wish that we may get round to someday. By giving a date, we start to make it measurable and specific. You put today's date in the bottom box, and then you choose an achievement date for the main goal. All of your goals may have different dates, but you've decided on a main goal. So now choose an achievement date for the main goal and you put that in the little box just underneath it. And then please write in the date on both maps, the word map as well as the picture map. This now gives us a timeline. And step 6, how, we start to identify the major actions we will need to take. If you have a big goal, there might be hundreds of actions that are needed in order to achieve it. But we want to chunk down to the 3 main things you need to do. Please put the thing you believe comes first in the bottom box so it's nearest a start date, with the others moving up in sequence. These may be organising your time, learning new skills, making an investment for your future. Again, always the combination of words and pictures, so we're activating both sides of the brain. Finally, Step 7, who? Whose help do you desire or require in achieving your goals? Think about the actions that you've just thought through and stated and ask, whose help do I need with taking those actions? Sometimes, of course, the who will be you. And if you're the main person needed to take the action, go beyond just saying your name and think in terms of who you need to be as a person, the quality of character, such as being positively focused. Sometimes it will be friends and family, and of course in a business like Young Living, it's our upline and our downline and our team that become really important in helping us to achieve the goals. And in tomorrow's session, I'll be focusing on a Young Living specific map and showing you how you map it out and add more detail to achieve your Young Living dreams. Once you have your map complete, then of course you can add more detail or extend it by taking another template, taking one of the actions and repeating the process to break it down into even more detail if you feel that is required. My recommendation is that you create several maps, maybe a map a month, certainly a map for your health and well-being, and if you wish you can teach the system to others. The goal mapping ritual is to look at your map once a day, ideally first thing in the morning. Print your map out, sign it, then see it and say it. It only takes a few moments, but by looking at your map once a day and as you look at the pictures, saying the words, it re-establishes the brain cell connections, helps to form the belief, and the belief commands your subconscious to move you towards the goal. Sign it, see it, say it, and of course share your map with like-minded people. You can download the templates for free, you can print out as many as you want, you can use the online system, and we have a goal mapping group on Facebook if you want to share your maps there. I really encourage you to teach goal mapping to your children if you have them, and you'll find I have free children's goal mapping material in my online program. Here's a map from my own daughter. Both my daughters started creating goal maps when they were just 4 and 5 years old. It's a regular routine for them now to map out the things they want to achieve. And here a map from my oldest daughter when she was 10 about being the best big sister she can be. It's simple enough that young children can do it, and yet it's powerful enough that world-leading organisations such as Microsoft use it with their employees. Microsoft have their own people certified to teach the system, and they sent it to 70,000 people around the world. Here is a goal map from the senior team in Microsoft UK. Here's one of my goal maps showing the breakdown of how you can add more detail. This is my map I did in 2006 about becoming a global speaker and how I was going to achieve that. I've now spoken in more than 30 countries around the world. If you want to add more detail to your goal map and you're doing it on paper, you can always attach it to a to-do list. And here in this goal map, which I did for the release of my goal mapping book, which is now in many languages, in fact, a new edition coming out this summer, I've got a to-do list right next to it, because if I extend out the detail of the map, it simply becomes my daily task list. The online program makes it really simple to attach to-do lists to your goal map. I recommend you explore it if you haven't already done so. It's absolutely free to use, and if you follow the link that Young Living will send out, you can find the special Young Living page where I'm putting some unique video and process just for Young Living members so they can use it for achieving their goals. I have all of the video from my goal mapping workshop in the online program. The dots on the island bring up a piece of video, so if you want to watch more detail, 4.5 hours in total of video, you can gradually work through. You can even download the accompanying workbook pages so you can take the full seminar at home. Of course, the main thing is creating your map. The same 7 steps are there in the online program, and there is a piece of video tutorial to guide you through each step. It's fast, it's effective. You have an image library where you get your own personal folder where you can upload family pictures or photos from the internet that please you. The more meaning the photo has, the more powerfully it commands your subconscious to move you towards your goal. In a very short space of time, you'll find that you have your online map, and it will help you to be your very best and achieve your greatest dreams. You can even take your life balance check with the online program if you would like to explore it in more detail. I'd like to sum up and leave you with the essence of the talk. The essence is simply this: think your best thoughts. If you think your best thoughts about yourself, about your life, about your future, about achieving your greatest dreams with Young Living, it triggers the release of the serotonin so that you feel your best feelings. That leads you into taking your best actions, and invariably you go on to live your best life. All of it captured within a goal map. I wish you well. I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to those of you that are joining me tomorrow in the focus session, where I'll be guiding everybody through creating a goal map to achieve their Young Living dreams.